Hi, my name's Phil. I'd like to talk about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the news that Nigel Farage has attempted to register his new party, Reform UK, with the Electoral Commission, initially setting itself up as an anti-science party until he can think of another brainless populist cause, that is. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So Nigel Farage at it again, pissed off that we left the EU and he was kicked off the gravy train, then annoyed that he was denied a lucrative 2020 on the American speech circuit. He has turned his attention to trying to stay on the populist bandwagon. Of course, this party has been in the offing all year. He announced some time ago his intention to switch from the Brexit Party to what he called the Reform Party. Now it's to be called Reform UK, in a desperate bid to remain relevant. Now, in some respects, fine by me. I'm actually curious to see how the Conservatives respond at the next general election to attacks on both their left and right flanks. Something they've never experienced before. Most other major parties, if not all of the ones, have to fight on two fronts. Certainly in my lifetime. But the plan was always to be the party of Brexit. Would have been great, but you know, the Tories cocked it up. And I'm sure it will be that come 2024. But to begin this dubious venture, Farage's opening gambit is to set the party up as an anti-COVID lockdown party. Now, in theory, the core aim of the party will be electoral reform, hence the name. But I guess in the absence of a public debate on electoral reform, something which I very much hope is going to be in the public debating sphere by the next election, and for a group of people who have nothing to say, they need to jump onto something, an existing debate. They can't start their own. They jump onto an existing one and support policies that seem counter to established politics. You know, particularly ones that harm the UK. That's their bread and water, I suppose. Curious when you consider that Nigel Farage was actually quite public in his support for the lockdown in spring. You know, he actively railed against sacrificing lots of people to the government policy of herd immunity initially. He said how terrible this was. He castigated the government for delaying the decision to lock down in spring, only to now get onto the anti-lockdown bandwagon. That seems a little bit odd. Another thing, of course, that this amply demonstrates is just how strong a correlation. It's not perfect. There are people who can agree with one and not the other, but how strong a correlation there is between those who support Brexit and those who support the virus. It's quite remarkable, isn't it? It's the same thing in America. Those who support Trump, those who, you know, don't want anything to be done about the virus, don't even believe the virus exists until someone close to them dies from it. Sadly, another case in America of a woman who not only believed COVID was a hoax herself, but her husband did as well, and she's died now. Her husband now believes in it. There's a thing. But there it is. You know, he attacks the government for not going into lockdown sooner, and now he's someone who wants to be a front for the party that's against the policies of Nigel Farage. And it's not like he was just in favour of the first lockdown. It was only last week that he was calling for the second lockdown as well. I mean, that's a turnaround. I know they say a week is a long time in politics. I did not think to look to Nigel Farage to prove it. So now we're going to have two British political parties who are committed to killing the bulk of their supporters. It also remains to be seen if they intend to be a serious political force or if they're just in it for the money again. Let's see what they do with their candidates in the next general election. After all, they say they're the committed party of electoral reform, hence the term Reform UK. The only party that exists at the top of British politics these days that are opposed to reform are the Conservative Party. Again, hence their name, I suppose. So if this Reform UK stand down candidates to help the Conservatives in 2024, you know, like they did in 2019, it will sort of expose the lie of their core aim. But this new venture isn't, of course, just about Nigel Farage. He's the PR guy, he's the front man. The Brexit Party chairman Richard Tice will also be running the show with Reform UK. This is the man who insisted that people should still go to the office during the pandemic. Under no circumstances should you work from home. Naturally, he has no vested interest in such a statement. He only makes money from renting offices. He was having a bit of an old rant in an interview on Sky, I think it was. So the Brexit Party were not exactly given a clean bill of health funding-wise by the Electoral Commission. I'm not sure if the Commission really are going to be able to insist that proper procedures are followed, but they can certainly point them out when they're not, in the case of Reform UK, just like with the Brexit Party. But an interviewer asked Tice, is this a proper political party? Are you going to disclose your finances in the way that you didn't with the Brexit Party at the timing of the election? Now, Tice accused him of being libelous. I'm pretty sure it's slander when it's spoken, isn't it? Isn't that right? I'm pretty sure it is, Ticey. Besides, the interviewer made it clear he was asking a question, not making a statement. That being said, the Electoral Commission did sanction the Brexit Party over failure to accurately report on their finances. So slander or libel, I don't think he would get much joy from a court on this one. And if he wants to talk about slander, I mean, Nigel Farage accused the Electoral Commission of being biased, not neutral, which of course they are. Neutral, that is, not biased. So, because they keep taking a critical look at Brexit Party funding. They've never given it a clean bill of health. That being said, Farage was also reported when he was having his little rant about the Electoral Commission as saying he wasn't stupid. So maybe we were just supposed to not take his statement seriously, I'm not sure. But it was a very reasonable question, of course. And the complete lack of an answer suggests that they intend to keep their finances in just as much shadow as they did before, especially as their sources of funding were opaque enough. But we also do not know what happened to the money. There was an awful lot of money that they were claiming they'd collected that was not accounted for in their spending. Where did it go? Tice said that they're making all their returns to the Electoral Commission. Are you? So why does the Electoral Commission think you're not? Why do they keep sanctioning you for not doing that? Also, why are they making a new party? Because you look at a situation where you go, okay, you were a bit opaque with your financial dealings with the Brexit Party. Now you're making this new party. But this isn't like Nigel Farage getting pissed off with the Brexit Party and going off and making his new party again, like when he left UKIP. This is not about that. The whole organisation is going with him. It's the same people, the same money that's going to be in control of it. Why not just change the name if you want to drop the term Brexit before it becomes toxic? I wonder if it's due to a concern, it's just me speculating here, that maybe people will continue to try and rake out the account years later if they kept the same party. You know, perhaps there's some mileage in dropping it, burning all the documents and then setting up a new group, clean slate and all that. You know, like Cambridge Analytica did. I wonder if there's a Brittany Kaiser for the Brexit Party, sitting on a load of accounts ready to leak them at some point. Maybe not, can't hope for it. Of course, for all the ridicule that Farage, Tice and the wider movement attract, you know, from those who see them for who they are, it does need to be remembered that they're not actually buffoons. This is not like Boris Johnson. They actually know what they're doing. Nigel Farage and Richard Tice, along with allies like Aaron Banks, have had a very real and deliberate impact on British politics. Without them, there would have been no Brexit at all. We need to remember that, let alone the hard Brexit that we are now headed towards. Yes, there were other influential players as well, without whom Brexit still wouldn't have happened. That is the consequence of having such a close result. Any significant contributor being absent would have swung the result the other way. Without Brexit, there couldn't have been the particular style of government that we have now, where the leaders are chosen for their commitment to the cult of Brexit rather than competent governance. This has had a material impact not only on the economy, jobs, and our diminished standing in the world, but also our pandemic response. It would be, you know, lovely to think Nigel Farage will just fade away. Some people will say, why would you keep talking about Nigel Farage and his comical raging against the machine? He's not relevant. He is, and he will remain relevant. He was never really about Brexit, but about outrage. You know, Reform UK may or may not actually decide towards working towards getting MPs at the next general election in the way that they backed out during last year as the Brexit Party. But they will almost certainly impact the results to some degree, just like they did last year. I view Farage as a little bit like Gollum. You know, he's malevolent, sure. He's also pathetic. But he still plays a major part in the story, whether ultimately for good or ill. Hard to say. He may well split the right-wing vote in 2024 and, as a result, help Labour out enormously. Yes, I know, he also attracts voters who see themselves on the left. He's a very good charlatan. But far fewer proportionally than he nicks from the right. He takes far more votes from the Tories than from Labour. And first past the post means that helps Labour, because it isn't about votes, it's about a comparison of the tally, that's all. You need one more vote than your competitor, that's it. Or he may just stir up hatred over the next few years, keep the Conservative Party on the ultra right-wing path, and then pull his candidates again at the next general election in order to allow them to fight the centre ground. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But he will remain relevant to politics until his zealotry has been well and truly exposed. But there it is. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.